Yesterday, in Venezuela, you had elections. Everybody agrees they were free and fair. There's a very outspoken independent press. There's opposition trade unions. There's opposition political parties free to organize. But when you hold elections in Venezuela, well, that's on the verge of communist dictatorship. Why? Because Venezuela is extremely critical and doesn't go along with U.S. policy in South America. So the double standard about who's a terrorist and who's not, who's for democracy, who's not, what it's really all about is, are you pro-U.S.? And if you're pro-U.S., you get wide latitude in terms of human rights abuses, etc. So what's the alternative? Sometimes, when I debate I've been on Hannity, on Fox News and various other conservative talk radio and TV shows, and, well, what are you? Are you for Saddam Hussein? Are you for Osama bin Laden? Are you for the Ayatollahs in Iran? No. You can be opposed to U.S. policy and in support of the people of those countries without being supporting of the dictatorship. Let's take Iran. I was there. I saw the mass movement that grew up in Iran spontaneously as a result of the vote fraud last year. 1 million people marching in the streets. And they had different opinions. But you know something? I didn't hear any of them say, we want the Shah back. What we really miss is the years when the U.S. used to control Iran. What we want is U.S. oil companies back and privatize it. None of that. They were for national sovereignty. They were for democracy and fair elections. Some wanted to keep an Islamic system with the existing constitution. Some people wanted to get rid of it and go back to a different secular parliamentary system. So there were plenty of debates. But they all wanted nuclear power. Nobody, if the Green Movement came to power tomorrow, the U.S. would still have the same demands about nuclear power and et cetera, because the reformists support the people in Palestine. They support Hezbollah. It's a question that the U.S. wants us to believe that if there's democracy, that this is all a pro-U.S. movement going on in Iran. It's not true. There's lots of different viewpoints. There's lots of debate and struggle. And right now, unfortunately, that movement has been very, very much repressed by the reactionary government in power in Iran. But I support that movement. I support those people because they're going to lead to a genuinely free and independent Iran as time, given time. And the U.S. imposing sanctions and threatening to bomb has the opposite effect, which is to throw popular support behind the government, because if you're threatened from the outside by an outside power, you're much more likely to support your government. The best thing the United States can do is drop all the sanctions and the talk of military invasion and let the people of Iran decide their own future. They're perfectly capable of doing that. September 14th was Reese Erlich Day in San Francisco. Just last week I was honored for my work as an investigative journalist. And you may have heard that busy legislators don't have a chance to read all the resolutions, and particularly things like Reese Erlich Day resolutions, etc. So I don't know if you know this, but when you're in this situation, they ask you to write a first draft of the the proclamation. So I did. So I wrote, and I decided to throw in a little test. So I said, whereas Reese Erlich has done this and this, and whereas all the usual boring stuff, blah, blah, blah. Therefore, be it resolved, San Francisco declares September 14th to be Reese Erlich Day. And further be resolved that the city and county of San Francisco shall distribute free medical marijuana to anyone who asks. I put that in at the bottom. Now, as it turns out, apparently they do read the resolution because that part was left out in the final draft. But they did pass it, luckily. And I had a chance to address the city council, or I should say the board of supervisors, and we had a reception afterwards with many people from different movements, from the Muslim community, from the Arab community, and Palestinians, from the Jewish peace community, from the wide variety of folks, a chance to meet supervisors and meet one another in what I hope will help the different isolated movements to take a few baby steps towards getting to know each other and cooperating more. Lest you think that a book about conversations with terrorists, which, by the way, just happens to be on sale over there afterwards, it's a profiles of 6 different Middle East leaders that I've met over the years, including the president of Syria, Bashar